I'm about to share the absolute best nervous system advice for you ever. So I want you to save this video. I want you to share this with your friends and family who are also all probably really dysregulated. And I want you to come back to this video and keep watching it until this information really sinks in. And save this as a reminder because when you can truly master this in your life, you will never have to worry about a dysregulated nervous system state ever again. That's how powerful this advice is. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Bisley Natley. I'm a naturopathic doctor and I teach people how to reset and regulate their nervous system state. I've worked with thousands of people up until this point, and every time in my practice, what I have seen is that when people support their nervous system state, when people actually take the time to regulate themselves multiple times throughout the day, these people tend to be the happiest, they tend to be the healthiest, and they tend to also enjoy life the most. And you know what? That is exactly what I want for you. And even me, I've seen that difference in my life too. I have lived in a state where my nervous system was completely dysregulated, and it was dysregulated for pretty much my entire life. And it wasn't until these past few years when I took my nervous system regulation in my own hands and oh my goodness, I have seen the most transformational shift in my own life in terms of just how I show up, in terms of how I handle challenges, in terms of how I take care of myself and the relationship that I now have with myself. And the most beautiful part about this nervous system regulation work has been is that the more my nervous system is regulated, the more that I bring myself to that calm state over and over and over again, the better that my life gets, the better that everything around me gets, everything from my relationships to career opportunities to my finances. Like it's just been beautiful to see this ripple effect in my life living in that regulated state versus having lived in a not regulated state. And that's exactly what I want for you. I want you to truly get an opportunity to feel and experience what life is like when your nervous system is regulated because life just feels so beautiful. There is so much more joy to it. You just get that joie de vivre, right? Whatever they say in French, or like that zhuzh back in life when you live life from that regulated state. So today you're going to learn my best advice that I always share with my patients in my practice. And we're going to essentially talk about the three most important things that you can work on to support and regulate your nervous system state. I have my little tea here. I should start calling these sessions like tea time with Dr. Bisley. I feel like that'd be so much better. You know, you can get your favorite tea. I have my favorite tea, which is Earl Grey tea. By the way, side note, I stopped drinking coffee and it's been one of the best things I've done for my nervous system state. Coffee used to just keep me in this stress state. And I think so many of us who are sensitive to these things, I'm telling you, the initial switch can be a bit difficult. And it took me a couple of months to get off coffee. But now I have fully switched over to my BFF Earl Grey tea. And it's been like the best switch I've ever made in my entire life. And what I'm drinking out of is a portable tea diffuser, another incredible investment that I've made. Before we dive into the three things that I'm going to share with you today that support your nervous system state, one thing I do just want you to keep in mind is that the goal isn't to have a calm nervous system state all the time. I always joke with my patients and tell them that if you're in the calm state all the time, it means you're dead and you did something wrong. So that's not what we want. That is the only way to be consistently calm all the time. And that's not what a healthy nervous system actually is. A healthy nervous system is one that is flexible. It's one that bounces from the stress state to the calm state all throughout the day. And that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on having this flexible nervous system that gets into the stress state, then comes down, that gets into the stress state and comes down. And what you should start to see over time is that the things that used to stress you out don't as much anymore. And that's because your nervous system is able to adapt to these stressors, right? And then you just up level to that next level, and then you adapt to those stressors, and then you keep up leveling until infinity and beyond, okay? Because that's the whole goal of being human, is that we are in this, progress and evolution. There isn't this end point we get to where we're just like, oh my God, I'm perfect and everything's regulated. It's all an evolution. So get that in your head as well. Now, that's what we essentially want. So focus on how quickly you're able to bounce back from your stressors. Focus on how quickly you're able to regulate yourself and use that as a marker of success. Don't use the fact that you're getting into the stress state as a marker of success. Like I can even say from my own experience, right? You would think that because I'm the doctor that teaches people how to regulate themselves, I am so regulated all the time. And maybe if you ask my patients or most of my friends, they'll be like, yeah, she's regulated. And then you ask my family, and they'll tell you that I am basically a nutcase, okay? Okay, hopefully they don't tell you I'm a complete nutcase, but my family definitely, especially my parents, see me in a dysregulated state and have seen me in dysregulated state. God bless, like seriously, God bless my mama. She probably gets it the most. I'm just thinking back to even the conversation that I had with her today. And I don't hate myself for that anymore. I'll apologize, course correct, re regulate myself, and move forward. Because again, the goal isn't to get into this like perfect state of health, perfect state of calm. It's about bouncing back. And of course, apologizing if you've hurt someone's feelings when you were dysregulated. And with that being said, let's get into the 3 things that I want to touch on that are going to help you regulate your nervous system. Saying it's going to be the best advice you're ever going to hear. So we're going to start with the first thing, which is silence. Silence is truly a gift that you can give to your nervous system, especially just considering the overstimulation that we live in today and how everybody's just always constantly listening to something and watching something. And I remember specifically one of my patients who was struggling with pretty severe ADHD symptoms, and she told me that during her workday, while she was working, she would have TikTok playing in the background, and her phone would just be going through hundreds and hundreds of TikTok videos in a day, playing on in the background while she's also doing work and being in other meetings and doing other things. And that is the perfect example of what overstimulation looks like. And I notice this a lot with people who are struggling with ADHD, people even who struggle with anxiety as well. There is that bit of fear in silence. And for so many of us, it's really difficult for us to be able to sit in the silence because a lot of us have to then face our thoughts. And that's like the number one reason I'll get as to why people feel the need to always be listening to something, because when they're in silence, then they have to face their own thoughts. And to be honest with you, if that feels like you, first of all, it's very normal. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling scared to face your thoughts. So many of us experience. And to be honest with you, I dealt with a lot of anxiety before in my past, and I would always feel the need to listen to something or be talking to someone. And I felt the need to always distract myself from what was actually going on in my mind and my body. And it was hard. It was really hard at first getting quiet and facing my thoughts. And even to this day, sometimes I can notice myself always needing to listen to something. Like I always need music playing in the shower or while I do laundry or clean my room and place. And, there's this need to always be listening to something. And I have to sometimes pull back and allow myself to have silence. And within that silence, then I face what's actually there that I was distracting myself from. And I was like, that's why I've been feeling the need to just always listen to something. So, silence is such a beautiful gift that you can give your nervous system state, because silence forces you to connect with yourself, to connect with what's happening inside of you. And yes, some of that is scary. It is scary and it is frightening. And initially, you're going to resist it so much, but I promise you, the more that you learn to sit in that silence, the more that you learn to just sit with yourself, the easier it becomes. And then what happens is that you start training your brain and your mind to be like, we can sit with ourselves, we can face our thoughts, and they're not that scary. I promise you, they're not. They seem really scary, but they're not. So, really start giving yourself these moments throughout the day where you can have silence. And something also I want to emphasize with these strategies that I'm sharing with you, it's not about finding more time to support your nervous system state. You don't have more time. Nobody has more time. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to start seeing how can you combine the activities you're doing with nervous system regulation and supporting things. So for example, silence, you can combine that with so many activities. One of my favorite things actually to start doing now is driving in silence. We all have places to go, places to be, and we're all driving here, there, everywhere. And if you can give yourself, not even, it doesn't have to be the whole ride, maybe it's just the first 10 minutes, just drive in silence. See what comes up for you. Use this as a moment to check in with yourself and just be. And sometimes during these drives, like I'll go 30 minutes without listening to anything and I'll just like talk to myself. I'll practice deep breathing. And it's just become a beautiful way for me to touch in with myself. So when I go to the clinic, or especially on my ways back home from the clinic, when I've had a day full of patients, it's been one of the most beautiful things that I have done just to reconnect with myself and to check in with myself and support myself. So give yourself these micro moments of silence. So this might look like you showering, instead of playing music, just Do it in silence. Something that I've been wanting to start doing is usually when I go to the gym is I listen to music at the gym, and I'm going to start experimenting with just not listening to music. And I think that's a beautiful way and time for me to just connect with myself and my body, connect with my muscles and what they're doing, and just to know that we don't always need to be listening to something. So that's number one. The second S, and I didn't even tell you that these were all going to be S words, but I'm telling you now, these are all going to be S words. It's so funny. On TikTok, I made a video describing these three like S words. I don't want to reveal them all just right now. And people have been like commenting like the snake emoji or just going like S S S S S. And I'm like, yeah, you guys got it. It's just been really funny. The second S word is stillness. When was the last time you sat down and did nothing? Probably never. Just the thought of that scares so many of us, just to like sit down and to do absolutely nothing. I don't know about you, but that used to scare me all the time. And I used to hate it. And I used to have a huge problem with just sitting down and sitting down, just being still. Okay, you better bet I was the one like fidgeting and like literally my body's like tweaking because my body's just like, what are we doing? We need to be getting up and doing something. And it's so funny because I see this in my practice with my patients who struggle with it. The patients who have a dysregulated nervous system state, literally in our visit together, they need to be fidgeting with something or doing something, or they're constantly like switching their legs over. And it's very difficult for them to stay still. And I'm just watching them going like, we definitely need to support your nervous system state. But honestly, all my patients get nervous system support. That's like the core pillar that we always, always, always start with. So, stillness is very important. A lot of us have trained our nervous system to feel like it always needs to be doing something. And oftentimes that also stems from this deep rooted place of feeling like we're not good enough if we're not always doing something, which is really sad when you think about it. And I can tell you honestly, I lived so much of my life from that place. There was a time in medical school, I kid you not, I had 5 different jobs. I was training for like a marathon. I was also trying to have a social life, and I was just doing all of these things. And I look back at that all while still being in school and having like a bunch of different courses. And I look back at that and I'm just like, why? Why did I do that? And that's because that was coming from that deep rooted place of feeling like I always needed to be doing something productive in order to feel good about myself. And what starts to happen is that if this is just how we've lived our life, our nervous system actually becomes used to this state and way of being. It becomes regulated to that. And so when we try to give ourselves stillness, which is what your nervous system desperately needs, and you need to, first of all, remind yourself that you're not a human doing, you're a human being. And that means to give yourself permission to be in the present moment, to just sit and do nothing once in a while, and to actually let yourself be bored. When was the last time you were bored? Like, probably never. That's a whole other thing that I hear in my practice all the time. People constantly talking about like being healthy is boring, or I hate being bored. And I'm just like, you got to learn it. Being bored is a part of life, and it can be a beautiful part because it's through boredom that we are able to be creative. If we're not going to give ourselves the opportunity to be bored, our brain can't imagine. And instead, we fill every single moment of our days with doing something. And it can be as simple as you scrolling on your phone. That's a doing. I've really had to train myself to give myself micro moments of stillness throughout the day. So, for example, before I get to the clinic, before I jump out of my car and go straight upstairs, right? Because I was, again, the queen of just like next thing, next thing, next thing, keep going, don't stop until the end of the night. And then I can't sleep because I never gave myself any moments of stillness during the day. And then my mind is all wired with all of these thoughts. Okay. I know you feel that way. I know you. I know you when I see you. Before entering the clinic, for example, as soon as I get there, I'll sit in my car and I'll take 2 to 3 deep breaths. That's a moment of stillness. And then I will go upstairs. In between patients, instead of scrolling on my phone, I will just sit and be still. I'll just look out the window. And it's so interesting, whenever I go out somewhere, like if I'm waiting for coffee at a Starbucks, or if I'm in my doctor's waiting room, or if I'm just out somewhere, it's so interesting just to see how much people just go on their phones to fill the time instead of just sitting. And I think back to like the old days where, I mean, I wasn't even alive then, but I just think back to how it used to be, right? If people were in like a waiting room, like they'd be talking to each other. instead of scrolling on their phones. And sometimes if someone isn't on their phone, I will strike up a conversation. I just love to make friends randomly everywhere. It's like my favorite thing to do because I don't like to go on my phone. If I'm at Starbucks waiting, like I love to just chat up the people beside me. Or, the other day I was at the sauna at the gym. I joined a new gym, new luxury gym in my area, and it's been awesome. And I was like, oh my God, I want to make like new friends here. And I was in the sauna the other day and I was sitting in the sauna with a couple other people and everybody was on their phone. And I was like, damn, like I was like, I can't even talk to anybody. But it was just so interesting to see how every single moment that we have, we feel the need to go on our phone. We feel the need to fill the space because it just feels like if we don't fill the space, then we're not good enough or we're not being productive. And that is just so not true. I can tell you right now, my life has felt so much happier and better giving myself more opportunities of stillness throughout the day. So what this looks like for you is again micro moments. Is not just jumping to the next task and the next task and the next task and just giving yourself a space and moment to breathe. A space and moment to be proud of yourself for what you've done. Something I've started to do during the day is if I have days where I don't have clients and I'm just doing like other admin work or, just getting other things done on my to-do list. Between each task, I'll just give myself a moment of stillness, a moment just to feel proud of what I've done. And that becomes a moment where I'm supporting my nervous system state. So, really try to find these micro moments of stillness and just watch how that completely transforms your nervous system. And with that being said, let's talk about the last S of this 3S trifecta, which is slowness. Oh my goodness. This was probably the hardest one for me to do, like the absolute hardest one for me to do. And to this day, I still struggle with it. If you literally go back and look at some of my like older videos, you will see how fast I would talk. So fast. And to this day, still, in some videos, I'll do it and I'll have to remind myself, or I'll just have to re record and be like, whoa, that was like hectic energy, like very hectic energy. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like if you've ever been around someone who just is like talking so fast and like, they're going through their day and they're just talking like this and their whole body's like moving and shaking and you're just like, whoa, you're just like, girl, boy, dude, person, just chill. Like you just want to tell them like, take a breath. I just hung out with like a new friend the other day and that was her energy. And I just want to be like, girl, take a breath. Let's just slow it down. It's also interesting just to take note when you start to support your nervous system state, you will become sensitive to hectic energy. I'm in this place right now where if someone has hectic energy, I'm just like, whoa, like, love you from afar, but I can't have that in my life. Like, I've just cultivated way too much peace and it feels so good to me. Like, I just don't allow hectic energy anymore. And I send love from afar to these people and kind of keep that distance because that's just the stage and place of life that I'm in. So, what does slowness look like? It looks like exactly that. Doing things at a slower pace. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything. I'm not telling you to not do everything at a snail pace as if I do everything at a snail pace. Okay. I'm a high achieving woman. I need to get things done and I have a sense of urgency to the things that I get done. So this does not mean that I do everything slow, but where moments I can, I do. So, for example, the other day I went to the grocery store and I was like, I don't have any other work to do at the end of the day. So I was just like, I really want to use this as an opportunity to be mindful and support my nervous system state. Because whenever I go to the grocery store, first of all, I hate grocery shopping. I don't know why I still do it. I hate it. I know I should probably order groceries. I remember I ordered groceries once and they just didn't get any of the stuff that I actually wanted. I hate that there's the option of like, what are the alternatives? Because I kid you not, this person doing grocery shopping for me literally got all the alternatives. So I've just gone back to doing grocery shopping. And I was at the grocery store and I was just so slow with it. I was mindful with it. I was like picking up the peppers. And you know what's so cool about this is as I'm just thinking about my grocery store experience, because I was so present at the grocery store, I remember it so much more. I literally remember right now, like, I remember picking up the peppers and looking at the colors. I remember going through the aisles and deciding what pasta sauce I wanted. And it's so interesting just to even take note of right now how clearly and beautifully I remember the details because I was so present at this grocery shopping experience. Or before, usually I just do it so fast. I'm just like, grab the peppers and grab this and grab that and the tuna and da 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 and put in the grocery and then let's just go. And the whole experience happens and I just try to I just black out the whole time because I'm just going so fast because I'm like, I have way better things to do. And yeah, very cool to take note of that. So if you really want to enjoy a moment, be more present. Okay, just go slow. Just go slow. If being present is hard, go slow because going slow will just force you to be more present in the moment. And it'll just come more naturally to you. Just slow down a little bit. So if you notice you're walking really fast, slow down, right? Just from your car to your office, slow down. If you're washing dishes, just go a little bit slower. If you're washing your hair, I've seen a lot of these TikTok videos, right? Where people are just like, this slowing down is the best thing you can do. And this girl's like scrubbing her hair and she just like slows down. Just slow down. When you do your skincare, go slower. Say some nice things to yourself as you do it. And all of these moments then become moments of supporting your nervous system state. So, do you see that? It's not about finding more time, it's about incorporating silence, stillness, slowness into your day. And the more that you do it, the better your nervous system will be. Trust me. I've done this with thousands of patients, I've done this in my own life. And the more that you repeat this, the better your nervous system state feels. And if you want even more tangible, everyday, simple strategies that you can use to support your nervous system state, please come join my free 30-day nervous system reset. I'm going to be sending you an email every single day with a tangible strategy that you can use and apply in your life right away to support your nervous system state. So you really don't want to miss it. It's completely free. A lot of people have been asking me, why are you doing this free? And I'm just like, I don't know. So this might not be free next time. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity. The link is in my bio. And remember the 3S trifecta: stillness, silence, slowness. You got this. I'm rooting for you.